Hello everyone, this is the 5th Ethical Revelation Fellowship. I'm Reverend Dr. Richard Paul, and tonight is Wednesday the 6th of August 2014, and tonight we're going to study paper 19, the Co-ordinate Trinity-Origin beings, and that begins on page...
Page 214.
214, that's right. And for those at home, that is paper 19, paragraph 1. Let's say a little prayer and we'll get started. Father, thank you for bringing us together tonight. I pray that you bless this meeting tonight, open our hearts and our minds that we might learn something and teach others what you have us to learn. We thank you for this wonderful day and this blessed week this week, and be with us during this meeting. We say this in the name of your Son, Michael, Jesus of Nazareth. Amen. Okay. Co-ordinate Trinity-Origin beings. Rodney, would you like to start out tonight?
Sure. Forgive me, guys. I just woke up from a nap.
All right.
Number 19, the coordinate Trinity-Origin beings. This paradise group, designated the coordinate Trinity-Origin beings, embraces the Trinity teacher sons, also classed among the paradise sons of God. 3 groups of high super-universe administrators and the somewhat impersonal category of the inspired Trinity spirits. Even the Havana natives may properly be included in this classification of Trinity personalities, along with numerous groups of beings resident on paradise. Those Trinity origin beings to be considered in this discussion are...
Let me go over this paragraph before we go on and talk about it. Let's talk about this just a second. They call these coordinate Trinity-Origin beings. Okay, and they include the Trinity teacher sons, which is one of the 3 orders of divine sonship, right? And, these are the Danels, or the Trinity teacher sons. And then they go on to tell us there's 3 groups of high super universe administrators. And we're going to talk about these tonight. This is the judicial branch of the traveling judicial branch of the super universe government. These three of these in this group. And then they talk about the inspired Trinity spirits, which they don't tell us a whole lot about. We know they're invisible to us, and we know that they were present during the revealing of this book, but other than that we don't know a whole lot. And then of course included in those also are the paradise residents and Havana natives, both. And the Havana natives being those beings that were created in the Havana super universe. And this group includes 1, the Trinity teacher sons, 2, the Perfectors of Wisdom, 3, divine counselors, 4, the universal censors, 5, the inspired Trinity spirits, 6, the Havana natives, and 7, the paradise citizens. And this is a picture of that group. And in this picture, she's got it labeled as Danels, which is the Trinity teacher sons. And then we have the Perfectors of Wisdom, the divine counselors, the universal censors. These 3 are basically the courts and the traveling courts and judicial system of the super universe, and that includes the Perfectors of Wisdom, the divine counselors, and the universal censors. They make almost all the judicial systems and the decisions in the super universe. And of course there's the inspired Trinity spirits, which we don't know a whole lot about, but we do know that there's Havana natives and paradise systems also. And this slide I put together to kind of give us an overview of each one of these. The Trinity teacher sons, by origin of Trinity nature and function, they are almost wholly devoted to the services of the divine sonship, one of the 3 of the divine sons. Well, anybody remember what the other 2 are? We're going to study this next week in the next paper. But there's the Danels, which is the Trinity teacher sons. There's the avonals, which are the magisterial sons, and of course the third one is the creator sons. Okay? 2, the perfectors of wisdom. These are designed to personify the wisdom of divinity in the super universes. There are exactly 7 billion of these beings in existence. 1 billion are assigned to each of the 7 super universe. Now we have to almost think of these in the group of 3, number 2, 3, and 4, always function together just about. The divine counselor, these are the council of deity in the realms of the 7 super universe. There are 21 billion counselors in service, and 3 billion are assigned to each super universe. And then there's the universal censor. There are exactly 8 billion universal censors in existence. These unique beings are the judgment of deity. They are the judgment of the Paradise Trinity. Even the Ancients of Days do not sit in judgment except in association with the universal censors. And then there's the inspired Trinity spirits. We fully understand neither the nature nor the conduct of the inspired spirits, for they are one of the few holy secret orders of beings in existence. And then 6, the Havona natives. You must await your arrival in Havona when you greet them as spirit comrades. And 7, the Paradise citizens. These are the resident on Paradise numerous groupings of superb beings, the Paradise citizens, and they also dwell in and out of Havona also. All right, let's go on. Millie, would you take 19, 9, the next one?
Yes, the Trinity teacher sons, is that what
Accepting
the Trinity teacher sons and possibly the inspired Trinity spirits. These groups are of definite numbers. Their creation is a finished and passing end.
So there's done making these. Go ahead and take that first one, the Trinity teacher sons too, Millie.
Number 1, the Trinity teacher sons. Of all the high orders of celestial personalities revealed to you, the Trinity teacher sons alone act in a dual capacity. By origin of Trinity nature, in function, they are almost wholly devoted to the services of divine sonship. They are the liaison beings who bridge the universe gulf between Trinity and dual origin personalities.
Do y'all know what a dual origin personality might be?
That would be us, right?
Well, that would be the creator sons too, wouldn't it?
Oh,
Yeah, the creator sons and the creative mother spirit are both dual origin beings. The creator son being origin in the Father and the Son, and the creative mother spirit in the Son and the Spirit, right? So the Trinity teacher sons are Trinity origin beings. They're created by all 3 parts of the Trinity, so they're considered Trinity origin rather than a dual origin being. Okay? Diane, would you take the next one, please? You there, Diane?
Yes, I am. Sorry, I had to computer. While the stationary sons of the Trinity are of completed numbers, the teacher sons are constantly increasing. What the final number of teacher sons will be, I do not know. I can, however, state that at the last periodic report to universe of Paradise records indicated 21 trillion.
No, billion. Billion. Yeah. I'm sorry.
21,624,821 of these sons in service.
Okay. There's a whole bunch of them, right? Rodney, would you take the next one?
these beings are the only group of the sons of God revealed to you whose origin is in Paradise Trinity. They range the central and super universes and are enormous core of a sign, and enormous core is assigned to each local universe. They also serve the individual planets, as do the other Paradise Sons of God. Since the scheme of the grand universe is not fully developed, large large numbers of teachers' sons are held in the reserves on Paradise, and they volunteer for emergency duty and usually service
An
in
unusual
unusual service in all divisions of the grand universe, on the lone worlds of space, and the local and super universes, and on the worlds of quantum. They also function in Paradise, but it will be more helpful to postpone their detailed consideration until we come to the discussion of Paradise Sons of God.
Okay, and that's the next chapter, the Paradise Sons of God. But what I want to mention here is there is a huge number of these, and why would that be? The Trinity Teacher Sons are the sons that come right before a world reaches light and life, and they help us bring us into the era of life and life, because they're the representation of the Trinity as teachers to all the super universes. Okay, so that's why there's so many of them. They work not only on the local universes, but on each and every planet eventually too. Okay, so eventually we will have a Paradise, a Trinity Teacher Son come to us, probably after we have many magisterial missions first. In this connection, however, it may be noted that Teacher Sons are the supreme coordinating personalities of Trinity-Origin. In such a far-flung universe of universes, there is always great danger of succumbing to the error of the circumscribed viewpoint, to the evil inherent in the segmentalized conception of reality and divinity. And what do they mean there? What's interesting, they use the word evil inherent here. Do you notice that? In other words, what they're going to try to tell us is it is evil for us to try to segment the vastness of the universe to the point where our concept of reality and divinity is just little boxes of things, okay, rather than trying to understand the whole. And they're going to go on to tell us here in a second that the reason they presented the book in the fashion they did is so that we gain wisdom from starting from divinity and working our way down rather than the other direction, right? Because it's much easier for us to go to the life of Christ and read it because it's simple, starting out from where we came from and going to divinity. When they say we gain more wisdom if we start from divinity and work our way down. And we're going to see that in the next paragraph here, I think it is. All right. Who's up next? Me? For example, the human mind would ordinarily crave to approach the cosmic philosophy portrayed in these revelations by proceeding from the simple and the finite to the complex and the infinite, from human origins to divine destinies. But that path does not lead to spiritual wisdom. Such a procedure is the easiest path to a certain form of genetic knowledge, but it can only reveal man's origin. It reveals little or nothing about his divine destiny. So what they're telling us here is the reason they start with the complex at the beginning of the book and go to the more simple complex is by doing this we have a tendency to understand our divine destiny better than if we go the other way around. Okay? And that's what they're saying here. All right? Millie.
Even in the study of man's biologic evolution on Urantia, there are grave objections to the exclusive historic approach to his present-day status and his current problems. The true perspective of any reality problem, human or divine, terrestrial or cosmic, can be had only by the full and unprejudiced study and correlation of three phases of universe reality: origin, history, and destiny. The proper understanding of these three experiential realities affords the basis for a wise estimate of the current status.
Isn't this interesting? Notice here they say the three phases of universe reality: origin, history, and destiny. Remember when we started this study? And what was the name of the chart? It's the origin, the history, and destiny of universe reality. Remember that? So we started from that viewpoint before we started the book, right? And that gives us a better understanding of experiential realities, okay? And that's why we did it that way. They said that's the best way to approach any problem, okay? Diane, would you take the next slide? It's got the paragraph and the 4 different items there, okay?
You want me to read all of them?
Yeah, read all of them.
When the human mind undertakes to follow the philosophic techniques of starting from the lower to approach the higher, whether it biology or theology, it is always in danger of committing 4 errors of reasoning. 1. It may utterly fail to perceive the final and completed evolutionary goal of either personal attainment or cosmic destiny. 2. It may commit the supreme philosophical blunder by oversimplifying cosmic evolutionary experiential reality, thus leading to the distortion of facts, to the perversion of truth, and to the misconception of destinies. 3. The study of causation is the perusal of history, but the knowledge of how a being becomes does not necessarily provide an intelligent understanding of the present status and true character of such a being. 4. History alone fails adequately to reveal future development and destiny. Finite origins are helpful, but only divine causes reveal final effects. Eternal ends are not shown in time beginnings. The present can be truly interpreted only in the light of the correlated past and future.
So they're trying to tell us that by taking the more complex and working down to the simple is a better way to understand both biology, theology, everything, okay? Which is kind of interesting. So they justify the way they put the book together, which I find...
Yeah, which is, that's interesting, because any schooling that we get starts off with a simple and works toward the more complex.
More complex. That's right. That's exactly right. And what they're trying to teach us here, Rodney, is it's better to take the more complex and work down to the simple, and then you understand how the complex fits into the simple. Really. Which is kind of an interesting approach if you think about it. Because that's definitely the way the book works, isn't it? I mean, look at the forward. It's the most complex part of the book, right? So, all right. Rodney, would you take the next one?
Therefore, because of these, and for still other reasons, do we employ technique of approaching man and his planetary problems by embarkation on the time-space journey from the infinite, eternal, and divine paradise source and center of all personality, reality, and all cosmic existence.
So they start at the very top and work their way down, don't they? 2. The Perfectors of Wisdom. The Perfectors of Wisdom are a specialized creation of the Paradise Trinity, designed to personify the wisdom of divinity in the super-universes. There are exactly 7 billion of these beings in existence, and 1 billion are assigned to each of the 7 super-universes. Now remember, the Perfectors of Wisdom is one of the 3 beings in the traveling courts, right? All right. And this is an example of the Perfectors of Wisdom, all right? And they're meant to personify wisdom to the super universes. Okay? In common with their coordinates, the divine counselors and the universal censors, that's the 3 parts, right? The Perfectors of Wisdom passes through the wisdom of paradise of Avona, and except for Divinington, the Father's paradise spheres. After these experiences, the Perfectors of Wisdom were permanently assigned to the service of the Ancients of Days. They serve neither on paradise nor on the worlds of the Paradise Havona circuits. They are wholly occupied with the administration of the super-universe government. So everything they do has to do with the 7 super-universe governments. All right? Millie, would you take the next one?
Yes. Wherever and whenever the Perfecter of Wisdom functions, there and then divine wisdom functions. There is actuality of presence and perfection of manifestation in the knowledge and wisdom represented in the doings of these mighty and majestic personalities. They do not reflect the wisdom of the Paradise Trinity. They are that wisdom. They are the sources of wisdom for all teachers in the application of universal knowledge. They are the foundations. They are the fountains of discretion and the wellspring of discrimination to the institutions of learning and discernment in all universes.
So it sounds like they provide all the wisdom available for all 7 super universes, right? All right, Diane, would you take the next one?
Wisdom is twofold in origin, being derived from the perfection of divine insight inherent in perfect beings, and from the personal experience acquired by evolutionary creatures. The Perfectors of Wisdom are the divine wisdom of the paradise perfection of deity insight. Their administrative associates on Universo, the mighty messengers, those without name and number, and those high in authority, when acting together are the universe wisdom of experience. A divine being can have perfection of divine knowledge. An evolutionary mortal can sometime attain perfection of ascendant knowledge, but neither of these beings alone exhausts the potentials of all possible wisdom. Accordingly, whenever in the conduct of the super-universe, it is desired to achieve the maximum of administrative wisdom, these perfectors of the wisdom and divine insight are always associated with those ascendant personalities who have come up to the high responsibilities of super-universe authority through the experiential tribulations of evolutionary progression.
Okay, let's go back here. The mighty messengers, okay? Those without name and number and those high in authority. So we have 3 different groups. We have those coming down from paradise, and then we have those ascending beings coming up to paradise. Okay? And that gives us the wisdom of both the descending and the ascending part. And these are the associates of the Perfectors of Wisdom. Okay? Rodney, take the next one.
Okay. And I have this part highlighted. The Perfectors of Wisdom will always require this complement of experiential wisdom for the completion of their administrative sagacity. But it has been postulated that a high and hitherto unattained level of wisdom may possibly be achieved by the Paradise Finaliters after they are sometime inducted into the 7th stage of spirit existence. If this interference is correct, then would such perfected beings of evolutionary descent undoubtedly become the most effective universe administrators ever to be known in all creation. I believe that such is the high destiny of the nectar.
Okay, so this is a Perfecter of Wisdom, right? And he believes it's the finaliters and our experience gained from climbing up from the finite level all the way to paradise, that when we become 7th stage spirits as finaliters, then we'll be the most effective administrators ever to be known. Because we have both the experiential knowledge and the knowledge of paradise at that point, right? Okay, the I'm lost here. The versatility of the Perfectors of Wisdom enables them to participate in practically all the celestial services of the ascendant creatures. The Perfectors of Wisdom and my order of personality, the divine counselors, now this is the divine counselor, together with the universal censors constitute the highest orders of beings who may and do engage in the work of revealing truth to the individual planets and systems. Whether in their earlier epochs or when settled in light and life, from time to time we all make contact with this service of ascending mortals, from an initial life planet on up through a local universe and the super universe, particularly the latter. So all these beings eventually have dealings with mortal ascenders. Okay? 3, the divine counselors. Millie, would you take that one?
The divine counselors, make sure I've got my speaker. Yep, I got my speaker. These Trinity-Origin beings are the council of deity to the realms of the 7 super-universes. They are not reflective of the divine council of the Trinity. They are that council. There are 21 billion counselors in service, and 3 billion are assigned to each super-universe.
So when they say they are the counselor, that's exactly what they mean. They're Trinity-Origin, so they are the council of the Trinity. Okay? And this is a picture of the divine counselors. This is the second part of the group. We have the universal censors and the divine counselors and the perfectors of wisdom, right? This is the divine counselors, all right? Diane, would you take the next one?
Divine counselors are the associates and equals of the universal censors and the perfectors of wisdom, from 1 to 7 counselors being associated with each of these latter personalities. All 3 orders participate in the government of the Ancients of Days, including major and minor sectors, in the local universes and constellations, and in the councils of local system sovereigns.
Okay, so they are the equals to each other, right? There's 3 orders that participate in this process. Rodney, would you take the next one?
We act as individuals, as I do in writing this statement, but we also function as a trio whenever the occasion requires. When we act in an executive capacity, always there are associated together a perfecter of wisdom, a universal censor, and from 1 to 7 divine counselors.
So when they make a decision, they always act as a group. 1 perfecter of wisdom, 7 divine counselors, and 1 universal censor constitute a tribunal of Trinity divinity, the highest mobile advisory body in the universes of time and space. Such a group of 9 is known either as a fact-finding or a truth-revealing tribunal, and when it sits in judgment upon a problem and renders a decision, it is just as if an ancient of day has adjudicated the matter. For in all the annals of super universes, such a verdict has never been reversed by the ancients of days. So they're like the traveling courts of the universes, right? Melody, would you take the next one?
Turn the speaker on. When the 3 ancients of days function, the Paradise Trinity functions. When the tribunal of 9 arrives at a decision following its united deliberations, to all intents and purposes the ancients of days have spoken. And it is in this manner that the Paradise rulers make personal contact in administrative matters and governmental regulation with the individual worlds, systems, and universes.
So if anything comes up having anything to do with the administration of the super universes, these guys make the decision on what's proper, right? Diane, would you take the next one?
Divine counselors are the perfection of the divine council of the Paradise Trinity. We represent, in fact, are the council of perfection. When we are supplemented by the experiential counsel of our associates, the perfected and Trinity-embraced beings of evolutionary ascent, our combined conclusions are not only complete but complete. When our United Council has been associated, adjudicated, confirmed, and promulgated by a universal censor, it is very probable that it approaches the threshold of universal totality. Such verdicts represent the nearest possible approach to the absolute attitude of deity within the time-space limits of the situation involved and the problem concerned.
So when they make a decision, as far as everyone is concerned, it's just as if the Trinity made that decision, or the ancients of days, right? All right, Rodney, did you take the next?
Okay, and I have this one highlighted as well, an exclamation point. 7 divine counselors in liaison with a trinitized evolutionary trio, a mighty messenger, one high in authority, and one without name and number, represent the nearest super-universe approach to the union of the human viewpoint and the divine attitude on near paradisiacal levels of spiritual meanings and reality values. Such close approximation of the united cosmic attitudes of the creature and the creator is only surpassed in the paradise bestowed sons, who are, in every phase of personality experience, God and man.
Okay, so we have the 7 divine counselors, which are of paradise origin, right? And then we have an evolutionary trio, a mighty messenger, one high in authority, and one without name and number. And who are those? Those are ascendant mortals, right, who's reached that station, okay? So we have the Trinity viewpoint and the ascendant mortal viewpoint also, don't we, in this group? So,
Question.
yeah,
These mighty messengers, high in authority, and one without name, these are ascended mortals?
these are ascendant beings, yes, all of them. Okay? They,
Why don't they give them a name and number?
huh? Because
Why didn't they give him a name and a number?
because they're so high, they've gone so high on the level that a name and a number is no longer necessary. So that's pretty smart, I would say, wouldn't you? So, but the whole point is, with the Trinity evolutionary trio, in liaison with a trinitized evolutionary trio. Notice it says trinitized here, Millie. So these 3 in this group, all 3 of them have been ascended and been trinitized by the Trinity. Okay, so we have the evolutionary and the attitude of the Trinity itself, which is kind of interesting. And it says that the only thing that surpasses that is the bestowal sons, who what? Are God and man, because they've gone through the bestowal process, right? So they have experience as a son of God. All right. 4. Diane, I think you're up.
For the universal censors. I don't think I'm up. I just read.
Oh, it's Roger.
Oh, is it me? I'm sorry, I lost track there. All right, universal censors. I talk so much I forget where I'm at. There are exactly 8 billion universal censors in existence. These unique beings are the judgment of deity. They are not merely reflective of the decisions of perfection. They are the judgment of the Paradise Trinity. Even the ancients of days do not sit in judgment except in association with the universal censors. So a universal censor is always there in any decision even the ancients of days make. Okay? They're part of the traveling court system, right? And this is a picture of that. All right? And there's 1 billion assigned to each of the 7 super universes. All right. Millie, would you take the next one?
There's one for each of the universes?
1 censor.
1 censor for each of the universes.
Oh, no, let's go back. You're talking about, there's 1 universal censor. No, there's not. There's 1 billion universal censors for each super universe.
There's 8 billion of them, so where do the other?
That is a good question. 1 billion, I guess, is in reserve, or
No, I've got it, in the front here, there's 7 billion, billion for each super universe.
yeah.
Then, there's a billion, there's one on each, of the billion spheres.
That's right. That's right. I'm sorry. I stand corrected. You're right, Rodney. There is.
One on each of the billion spheres where? In Havana?
In Havana, right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. There's one for each. There's a billion for each of the 7 super universes, and then there's one on each and every sphere of Havana. And there's a billion spheres in Havana, right?
Right.
Right. Okay. Now we're clear. Millie, would you take the next one?
Starting one sensor. One sensor is commissioned on each of the billion worlds. Of the 7
There you go.
Being attached to the planetary administration of the Resident Eternal of Days. Neither Perfectors of Wisdom nor Divine Counselors are thus permanently attached to the Havana administrations, nor do we altogether understand why universal censors are stationed in the central universe. Their present activities hardly account for their assignment in Havana, and we therefore suspect that they are there in anticipation of the needs of some future universe age in which the Havana population may partially change.
So they don't really know whether they're either, do they? All right. All right. Diane, would you take the next one?
1 billion sensors are assigned to each of the universes, both in an individual capacity and in association with and divine counselors. They operate throughout all divisions of the 7 super universes. Thus, the sensors act on all levels of the grand universe, from the perfect worlds of Havana to the councils of the system sovereigns, and they are an organic part of the dispensational adjudications of the evolutionary worlds.
All right. So they're part of the court system. Rodney, would you take the next one?
Yes. Whenever and wherever the universal censor is present, then and there is the judgment of deity. And since the censors always render their verdicts in liaison with Perfectors of Wisdom and divine counselors, such decisions embrace the united wisdom, counsel, and judgment of the Paradise Trinity. In this juridical trio, the Perfecter of Wisdom would be the I was, the divine counselor, the I will be, but the universal censor is always I am.
So it includes all 3 parts of deity, right? And we're going to find out here in a minute, it also includes the part of the absolute. All right, the censors are universe totaling personalities. When 1,000 witnesses have given testimony, or 1,000,000 when the voice of wisdom has spoken, the council of divinity has recorded. When the testimony of ascendant perfection has been added, then the censor functions, and there is immediately revealed an unerring and divine totaling of all that has transpired. And such a disclosure represents the divine conclusion, the sum and substance of a final and perfect decision. Therefore, when a censor has spoken, no one else may speak, for the censor has depicted the true and unmistakable total of all that has gone before. When he speaks, there is no appeal. So he totals all testimony, all counsel, everything that has occurred. He totals it all up, and what appears is the verdict for whatever they're talking about.
A perfect decision.
A perfect decision. Millie, would you take the next one?
Most fully do I understand the operation of the mind of the Perfecter of Wisdom, but I certainly do not fully comprehend the working of the adjudicating mind of the universal censor. It appears to me that the censors formulate new meanings and originate new values from the association of the facts, truths, and findings presented to them in the course of the investigation of universe affairs. It seems probable that the universal censors are able to bring forth original interpretations of the combination of perfect creature insight,
Creator insight.
perfect creator insight, and the perfected creature experience. This association of paradise perfection and universe experience undoubtedly eventuates a new value in ultimates.
Okay, so he takes what is perfect from the Creator and experience from the created, and he comes up with new values in what they call the ultimates, okay? And that would have to do with the deity, right? Diane?
It's reasonable to me.
Yeah.
If you look at all the facts, if you've got rules and regulations and you look at the facts and it doesn't fit anywhere, then you adjust.
That's right, you adjust to the new information, don't you? Diane, would you take the next one?
But this is not the end of our difficulties regarding the working of the minds of the universal censors. Having made due allowances for all that we know or conjecture about the functioning of a censor in any given universe situation, we find that we are still unable to predict decisions or to forecast verdicts. We very accurately determine the probable results of the association of creator attitude and creature experience, but such conclusions are not always accurate forecasts of censor disclosures. It seems likely that the censors are in some manner in liaison with the deity absolute, but we are otherwise unable to explain many of their decisions and rulers.
So their associates don't always understand this totaling of what they were talking about earlier, do they? They don't understand the totaling of the deity concept with the experiential concept and coming up with a decision, but they think it's something to do with the deity absolute and how it influences this, but they're not sure because they can't always predict what the universal censor will come up with, right? Kind of interesting. Rodney, would you take the next one?
Perfectors of Wisdom, Divine Counselors, and Universal Censors, together with the 7 orders of Supreme Trinity Personalities, constitute those 10 groups which have been sometimes designated stationary sons of the Trinity. Together they comprise the grand core of Trinity administrators, rulers, executives, advisors, counselors, and judges. Their numbers slightly exceed 37 billion. 2 billion and 70 are stationed in the central universe, and just over 5 billion in each super universe.
Okay, so all these sons all these beings together are considered the stationary sons of the Trinity, and in other words, in juxtaposed to the sons of God, right? These are the stationary sons of the Trinity. All right. It is very difficult to portray the functional limits of the stationary sons of the Trinity. It would be incorrect to state that their acts are finite limited, for there are transactions of super-universe record which indicate otherwise. They act on any level of super-universe administration or adjudication that may be required by time-space conditions, and that pertains to the past, present, and future evolution of the Master Universe. Millie, would you take the next one, Inspired Trinity Spirits?
Number 5, Inspired Trinity Spirits. I will be able to tell you very little concerning the Inspired Trinity Spirits, for they are one of the few wholly secret orders of beings in existence. Secret, no doubt, because it is impossible for them fully to reveal themselves, even to those of us whose origin is so near the source of their creation. They come into being by act of the Paradise Trinity, and may be utilized by any one or two of the deities as well as by all 3. We do not know whether these spirits are of completed numbers or are consistently increasing, but we are inclined to believe that their number is not fixed.
All right, I'm not going to expound on that because I don't know any more than they do about it. This is the inspired Trinity spirits in this picture. Now, Diane, would you take the next one?
Yes. We fully understand neither the nature nor the conduct of the inspired spirits. They may possibly belong to the category of superpersonal spirits. They seem to operate over all known circuits and appear to act well nigh independently of time and space. But we know little about them except as we deduce their character from the nature of their activities, the results of which we certainly observe here and there in the universes.
So they use all those circuits that we studied before, right? You know, the Father circuit, the Son circuit, the Spirit circuit, and the Mind Gravity circuit. All right. Rodney, would you take the next one?
Under certain conditions, these inspired spirits can individualize themselves sufficiently for recognition. That means Trinity-Origin. I have seen them, but it would never be possible for the lower orders of celestial beings to recognize one of them. Certain circumstances also arise from time to time in the conduct of the evolving universe in which any being of Trinity-Origin may directly employ these spirits in the furtherance of his assignments. We therefore know that they exist, and that under certain conditions we may command and receive their assistance, sometimes recognize their presence. But they are not a part of the manifest and definitely revealed organization entrusted with the conduct of the time-space universe before such material creations are settled in light and life. They have no clearly discernible place in the present economy or administration of the evolving seven super universes. They are a secret of the Paradise Trinity.
Okay, so
Records let us know about their existence.
yeah, I wonder why they even let us know about it myself, Rodney, because they don't tell us a whole lot about it. We know that they were present during the revealing of this book through this revelation for some reason. Now, what part they took part in it, I don't know. You know, the Melchizedeks of Nebadon teach that the inspired Trinity spirits are destined sometime in the eternal future to function in place of the solitary messengers, those whose ranks are slowly but certainly being depleted by their assignment as associates of certain types of Trinitized sons. So we know the solitary messengers one is required during a trinitization process, and that's eating up the amount of solitary messengers. So they think they may take the place of those in the future. The inspired spirits are the solitary spirits of the universe of universes. As spirits, they're very much like the solitary messengers, except that the latter are distinct personalities. We obtained much of our knowledge of the inspired spirits from the solitary messengers, who detect their nearness by virtue of an inherent sensitivity to the presence of the inspired spirits, which functions just as unfailingly as a magnetic needle points to a magnetic pole. When a solitary messenger is near an inspired Trinity spirit, he is conscious of a qualitative indication of such a divine presence, and also of a very definite quantitative registration which enables him actually to know the classification or number of the spirit presence or presences. Now let me explain this a little bit so that we know what we're talking about here. a solitary messenger detects that there's a inspired Trinity spirit there. That's the qualitative indication, right? He knows he's there. That's all he can tell. But he also knows how many of them are there. That's the quantitative registration. So a solitary messenger can tell you there's a inspired solitary spirit present, or he can tell you there's a number of them present at the same time. Okay? So that's what they're talking about here. Just like the solitary messenger can always detect another solitary messenger. All right. Millie, would you take the next one?
I'm not sure I interpreted that last sentence the way you did.
Okay, well, tell us.
Actually, to know the classification or number of the spirit present.
Right.
Presence. Maybe it doesn't mean how many, maybe it means,
Well, he knows the serial number or the number assigned to that spirit also, Millie. That's how he knows how many's there. You follow me? No,
yes, I see what you're saying.
Each spirit.
I don't think it means that he knows how many are there.
Well, that's what they're talking about, the quantitative
So he can
registration.
individually count them,
Yeah.
or he can count them individually.
Right. The qualitative would be the indication that he knows it's there in the first place, right? The quantitative would be how many or his number of registration, right?
Okay.
Or both, really. Okay?
I may relate a further interesting fact. When a solitary messenger is on a planet whose inhabitants are indwelt with thought adjusters, as on Urantia, he is aware of a qualitative situation. I gotta go back to my book. A qualitative excitation in his detection sensitivity to spirit presence. In such instances, there is no quantitative excitation, only a qualitative agitation. When on a planet to which adjusters do not come, contact with the natives does not produce any such reaction. This suggests that the thought adjusters are in some manner related to or are connected with the inspired spirits of the Paradise Trinity. In some way, they may possibly be associated with certain phases of their work, but we do not really know. They both originate near the center and source of all things, but they are not the same order of being. Thought adjusters spring from the Father alone. Inspired spirits are the offspring of the Paradise Trinity.
You see the difference in them? The thought adjuster comes just from the Father, right? The inspired spirits comes from all three beings of the Paradise Trinity. Okay? And they may be akin to a thought adjuster. They don't tell us. We don't know, you know. Diane, would you take the next one?
The inspired spirits do not apparently belong to the evolutionary scheme of the individual planets or universes, and yet they seem to be almost everywhere. Even as I am engaged in the formulation of this statement, my associated solitary messenger's personal sensitivity to the presence of this order of spirit indicates that there is with us at this very moment, not over 25 feet away, a spirit of the inspired order and of the third volume of Power Presence. The third volume of Power Presence suggests to us the probability that three inspired spirits are functioning in liaison.
So when they were revealing this paper, the solitary messenger sensitized that there was these spirits there, and he sensitized a third volume of Power Presence. This is what I was talking about earlier, Millie, about knowing how many was there, and that's why they told him that to us the probability that three inspired spirits are functioning in liaison. So they knew there was three of them. You see what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
All right. All right. Rodney, would you take the next one?
Always. So there are the 12 orders of beings associated with me at this time. The solitary messenger is the only one aware of the presence of these mysterious entities of the Trinity. And further, while we are thus appraised or prized of the nearness of these divine spirits, we are all equally ignorant of their mission. We really do not know whether they are merely interested observers of our doings, or whether they are, in some manner unknown to us, actually contributing to the success of our undertaking.
Okay, now think about this. They're talking about during the revealing of these papers. Y'all understand this?
Right.
So he's saying that there were 12 different orders of beings that were there at this time when they were revealing this to them. Think about that for a second. That's pretty amazing if you think about it. So there were a lot of beings associated with the revealing of this book. I mean, just tons and tons and tons of them. Because there were 12 orders just during the revealing of this one paper. Isn't that something? We should feel very blessed and special if you think about it. You know, to have this many celestial spirits interested in bringing us up to snuff on spiritual concepts, right?
Gives me chill bumps.
It does. I mean, it just blows me away. It really does. We know that the Trinity teacher sons are devoted to the conscious enlightenment of universe creatures. I have arrived at the settled conclusion that the inspired Trinity spirits, by superconscious techniques, are also functioning as teachers of the realm. I am persuaded that there is a vast body of essential spiritual knowledge, truth indispensable to high spiritual attainment, which cannot be consciously received. Self-consciousness would effectively jeopardize the certainty of reception. Talking about us now. If we are right in this concept, and my entire order of being shares it, it may be the mission of these inspired spirits to overcome this difficulty, to bridge this gap in the universal scheme of moral enlightenment and spiritual advancement. We think that these two types of Trinity-Origin teachers affect some kind of liaison in their activities, but we really do not know. So what he's conjecturing is this, that these spirits may be training us super consciously in spiritual concepts and moral receptivity. You see that? So we may have other beings influencing us, helping us along to make the right decisions, right? Millie, would you take the next one?
On the super-universe training worlds and on the eternal circuits of Havana, I have fraternized with the perfecting mortals, spiritualized and ascendant souls from the evolutionary realms, but have never have they been aware of the inspired spirits, which ever and anon the powers of detection resident in the solitary messengers would indicate were very near us. I have freely conversed with all orders of the sons of God, high and low, and they likewise are unconscious of the admonitions of the inspired Trinity spirits. They can and do look back in their experience and recount happenings which are difficult to explain if the action of such spirits is not taken into account. But for accepting solitary messengers and sometimes Trinity-Origin beings, none of the celestial family have ever been conscious of the nearness of the inspired spirits.
And that, you know,
That's strange.
It's a mystery, isn't it?
It really is.
Well, you guys should read this on Halloween night.
Yeah, really. Diane, would you take the next one?
I do not believe the inspired Trinity spirits are playing hide and seek with me. They are probably just trying just as hard to disclose themselves to me as I am to communicate with them. Our difficulties and limitations must be mutual and inherent. I am satisfied that there are no arbitrary secrets in the universe. Therefore, I will never cease in my efforts to solve the mystery of the isolation of these spirits belonging to my order of creation.
So he's going to keep looking into it too. And there they are playing hide and seek, right? Go ahead, Rodney. Take the next one.
Okay, I've got this one highlighted as well. And from all of this, you mortals, just now taking your first step on the eternal journey, can well see that you must advance a long way before you will progress by sight and material assurance. You will long use faith and be dependent on revelation, and if your hope to progress quickly and safely.
So they tell us we must use faith and revelation, right, to advance. And face it, y'all, to believe this revelation takes what? It takes faith to take that journey, if you think about it. You know, taking a step out and trying to learn new spiritual concepts and go outside our normal realm, that takes a lot of faith. It really does. And courage, if you think about it, right? All right, Havona natives. The Havona natives are the direct creation of the Paradise Trinity, and their number is beyond the concept of your circumscribed minds. Neither is it possible for Urantius to conceive of the inherent endowments of such divinely perfect creatures as these Trinity-Origin races of the eternal universe. I have a sick kitty cat, y'all excuse me.
I was wondering what that was.
Yeah, he's not doing so well. You can never truly envisage these glorious creatures. You must await your arrival in Havona when you can greet them as spirit comrades. You all right, sweetie?
You need to take a break there?
No, he does this all the time. He's full of congestion and he coughs up and coughs up and coughs up. He'll be fine. Okay, so this is the Havona natives. These are the beings that live in the Havona super universe, right? The central super universe. And that's what they're talking about here. Those who dwell on these planets are the billion worlds of Havona. All right?
Roger?
Yeah.
The paragraph that I read
Uh-huh.
before we got into this,
Yeah.
it's saying that if we hope to progress quickly and safely, I wonder what the safely part means.
I think the safely part they're talking about is progressing without rebellion, Rodney. We have to, in other words, in order for us to understand so that we don't make the wrong decisions like Lucifer did, right? That is the safely part of it. If we get the big head, you know, and think that we know everything, then we're in trouble, right? We must always take the attitude of a learner or of a student. And I think that's what they're talking about, doing it safely, because if you go down the wrong pathway and you fall into rebellion, then you're doomed, right? I think that's what they're talking about. Millie, would you take the next one?
During your long sojourn on the billion worlds of Havona, culture, you will develop eternal friendship for these superb beings. And how deep is that friendship which grows up between the lowest personal creature? Well, I gotta go to read my book. I'm trying to read off your screen. How deep is that friendship which grows up between the lowest personal creature from the worlds of space and these high personal beings native to the perfect spheres of the central universe? Ascending mortals in their long and loving association with the Havona natives do much to compensate for the spiritual impoverishment of the earlier stages of mortal progression. At the same time, through their contact with the ascending pilgrims, the Havonas gain an experience which to no small extent overcomes the experiential handicap of having always lived a life of divine perfection. The good to both ascending mortal and Havona native is great and mutual.
So they benefit from us and we benefit from them, don't they? They
I would think that's one way.
well, they benefit from our inexperience, and we benefit from their perfection, right? All right.
They must crave imperfection,
Yeah, that's right.
you know?
Uh-huh.
I would think.
I would think so too. Diane, would you take the next one?
Havana natives, like all of the Trinity-Origin personalities, are projected in divine perfection. And as with other Trinity-Origin personalities, the passing of time may add to their stories of experiential endowments. But unlike the stationary sons of the Trinity, Havoners may evolve in status, may have an unrevealed future in eternity destiny. This is illustrated by those Havoners whose service factualize capacity for fusion, non-adjusted father fragment, and so qualify for membership in the mortal core of the finality. And there are other finality cores open to these natives of the central universe.
Okay, so what are they talking about here? They're talking about Havoners in the central super universe who service factualized capacity for fusion with a non-adjuster fragment, right? So what happens is because of their service and because of what they do, they can qualify for the mortal core of finality. Isn't that interesting? So they can become like us, become finaliters.
Well, they must want to do that.
They must want to. That's right. Rodney, would you take the next one and the 3 items because it's the beginning of the next three.
Well, I see that, yeah.
Yeah.
The status evolution of the Havana natives has occasioned much speculation on Universa, since they are constantly filtering into the several paradise cores of the finality, and since no more are being created, it is apparent that the number of natives remaining in the fauna is constantly diminishing. The ultimate consequences of these transactions have never been revealed to us, but we do not believe that Havana will ever be entirely depleted of its natives. We have entertained the theory that Havananers will possibly cease entering the finality course sometime during the ages of the successive creations of the outer space levels. We have also entertained the thought that in these subsequent universe ages, the central universe may be peopled by a mixed group of resident beings, a citizenship consisting only in part of the original Havana natives. We do not know what order or type of creature may be thus destined to residential status in the future of Lana. But we have thought of, number 1,
Unifestation.
thank you, the Unifestation, who are at present the permanent citizens of the local universe constellations. Number 2, future types of mortals, who may be born on the inhabited spheres of the super universes and the flowering of the ages of light and life. And number 3, the incoming spiritual aristocracy
There you go.
of the successive outer.
Okay, so because the Havoners are filtering out to become finaliters over time, they believe that some of them will not leave, and the 3 possibilities that may take their place are 1, the Unifestation, who are local universe beings. They normally don't leave the local universe, okay? And 2, the future mortals who come from status spheres of light and life. In other words, they were born on a sphere of light and life, so they don't have any mortal experience except in a more perfect world. Okay, so they'll gain more experience in Havana. And 3, that the beings from the 4 outer space level that filter in toward paradise. Okay, and that's what they think will take the place of the Havona natives that are missing. All right, or going on to finality. All right, we know that the Havona of the previous universe age was somewhat different from the Havona of the present age. We deem it no more than reasonable to assume that we are now witnessing those slow changes in the central universe that are anticipatory of the ages to come. One thing is certain, the universe is non-static. Only God is changes. So everything changes.
Even one.
Even Havona. Billy, would you take the next one, Paradise Citizens?
7. Paradise Citizens. There are resident on Paradise numerous groups of superb beings, Paradise Citizens. They are not directly concerned with the scheme of perfecting, ascending, and will creatures, and are not, therefore, fully revealed to Urantia mortals. There are more than 3,000 orders of these supernal intelligences, the last group having been personalized simultaneously with the mandate of the Trinity, which is promulgated the creative plan of the 7 super-universes of time and space.
So there's 3,000 different order of paradise citizenship, and many of them have nothing to do with the ascendant mortal plan, so they don't tell us about those. But this is an illustration of the paradise.
If there are 3,000 orders, how many is in an order? We're talking billions of people.
Billions and billions and billions of different type of beings. And there's 3,000 orders. Think of just the limited number of orders we studied in the book, Millie. I mean, it's got to be unreal, huh? I mean, a number beyond imagination. All right. Diane, would you take the next one?
2. Paradise Citizens and Havona natives are sometimes designated collectively as Paradise Havona personalities.
Go ahead and take the next one, too.
This completes the story of those beings who are brought into existence by the Paradise Trinity. None of them have ever gone astray, and yet, in the highest sense, they are all free will endowed.
None of them has ever defaulted, right? Rodney, would you take the next one?
Trinity-Origin beings possess prerogatives of transit which make them independent of transport personalities, such as seraphim. We all possess the power of moving about freely and quickly in the universe of universes. Accepting the inspired Trinity spirits, we cannot attain the almost unbelievable. We cannot attain the almost unbelievable velocity of the solitary messengers, but we are able so to utilize the sum total of the transport facilities in space that we can reach any point in a super universe from its headquarters in less than 1 year of Urantia time. It required 100 days of your time to make a journey from Universa to Urantia. Holy cow.
Now think about this. All the Trinity-Origin beings we just talked about can all transport themselves anywhere in the 7 super universes without transport seraphim, supernaphim, or sekanaphim. Okay? So they can move through space by their own prerogative across the transport circuits of the super universe. And the longest distance it takes to get from anywhere they want to go from one part of the universe to another takes a year of our time. Okay? But what he says here, it took him 109 days to go from Uversa to Urantia. So that was, what, 3 months and 9 days? It took him to get from Uversa to our planet.
And that was just one way.
And that's just one way. So it's a pretty good ways from our planet to Uversa.
In our time.
In our time.
Not in their time.
Not in their time. Yeah.
Jesus was only here for 2 days.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. All right, let's read the last paragraph. Through these same avenues, we are enabled to intercommunicate instantaneously. They can communicate anywhere in the universe. Our entire order of creation finds itself in touch with every individual, embraced within every division of the children of Paradise Trinity, save only the inspired spirits. And this was presented by a divine counselor of Uversa, one of the three, right, in the group of the traveling courts. Was that not interesting or what? It's a great paper. That was great. Next time we'll go through the Paradise Sons of God, next Wednesday night.
That's good.
That was a good paper.
I enjoyed this. Thank you.
I did too. Diane, would you say a prayer for us tonight? Close us out.
Dear Heavenly Father, God, we just thank you so much for this revelation. Thank you so much for this opportunity to have this study group. Thank you for Roger Stillings for the incredible amount of time that he puts in bringing these lessons to us. We are just so grateful for this information that was revealed tonight. May we learn it well and process it and help others to understand. We just thank you for the inspiration and the depth of understanding. Thank you for also explaining in this particular paper that really they knew what they were doing when they were writing this book, and those of us, myself in particular, who felt that Jesus' paper should have been first. I am so grateful to know the truth. It is in your name, Jesus Christ, my Lord, and I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you at home for joining us. Please come see us again. God bless you.